Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first after party. I'm your host, Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. You should know us by now. Dave Schofield, and the man down in the shades is not John Travolta, but Bryan Anthony Davis. Unfortunately, Lance Williams cannot join us tonight. He has a prior engagement, but we are going to continue with the after party. The after party, sometimes better than the first party. Guys, I want to talk about something right off the bat, and it has nothing to do with Bryan's really weird getup.
Hey, you know what? I actually bought this in Melrose in 2001. Right after September 11th, I was in Melrose in California partying, and I got this.
There you go.
My wife won't let me wear it.
Except for right now. So you all went to the game in week 15.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a good time. Looking at the YouTube videos, it looked like you guys had a great time. What's the deal with Renegade, guys? Because it's getting bashed up and down, and it's not the other teams are not intimidated by it. Not that I think that I never felt that Renegade was an intimidation thing for the other team. I think I always felt it was more of a pump up for the Steelers. Dave, you've been going for a lot of games. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Jeff, it's a pleasure to join you here after dark tonight. I'm sorry, but whenever we have this microphone, it just feels like I should be.
It does feel like a little Barry White, a Barry White-esque. We'll put it that way.
Hey, Dave mentioned the proctologist earlier. That's what
somebody said I must have a good proctologist. I'm like, I don't have a proctologist. I just couldn't think of anything else to say. Oh, Renegade. I'm sorry. I got to sit back away from the mic, or else I'm going to do that the whole time. Renegade. My brother and I talked about it on Stat Geek. This is the first game in a while that Renegade hasn't been successful when I've been there. I was there the Dolphins game. The very next play after Renegade, TJ Watt got a strip, sack, fumble recovery. Against the Rams, I think the very next play was a sack. Against the Bills, it was a however many yard completion.
To John Brown, yeah.
It was a 40-yarder, I think.
Honestly, I think the Bills are very well coached. They listened to a lot of Renegade. They blared it at their practice. So therefore, I saw the videos of their players being pumped up on the sidelines by it. They weren't intimidated. And I don't feel like it was an intimidation thing. It's a get your crowd into it thing. But too much of the crowd was in blue and red. Too much of that crowd was in blue and red.
I want to talk about that.
Go ahead.
I've been around. I've been to Steelers home games with Eagles fans. The biggest bunch of boners that I've ever been around are Buffalo Bills fans.
Okay, story. Go ahead, Bryan.
And then
I was going to say, Bryan had to turn to me and ask, is it always like this? I'm like, it's never been like this. We had a group of 4 young ladies that they had 4 seats. The one was right in front of Bryan and then going away from me. One of them was a Steeler fan. The other 3 were Bills fans. And they always stood up. There is a proper etiquette at Heinz Field that people stand up when it's time to stand up. But if there's nothing going on and nothing that's worth getting up to be fired up or excited over, when the person in front of you is not standing, you don't stand. That's the way it works. The Bills fans, no etiquette. My brother had the same problem up top with them. There was people were just yelling, sit down, sit down. He just turned around like whatever and just kept standing the whole time. But these girls, they finally started to get it. Bryan talked to him afterwards and was
I said something to him.
Please tell me you all were getting an Uber or something after the game, because they were in no condition to find their way to wherever they were going otherwise. And luckily they did say that they were doing that. So, but that's kind of what we were dealing with.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I'm glad they were having a good time because, I don't care what team you're rooting for. You're people, and I have no problem with you. But this is my rule, and I've had this rule for years. When I talk about Steeler games, I talk about my house. Anybody is welcome in my living room, but if you pee on my couch, I'm going to kick your ass. All right, I'm going to be pissed.
Wow.
Come in my living room, fine. Don't piss on my couch.
Brian busts out the potty mouth.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
Wang Harbs.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And
Yeah.
they were all like that. I mean, they were acting like that before the game. That's fine. They're having fun. But you got to be careful in any stadium. I've seen Pittsburgh fans go a little crazy and not be afraid to knock you out after a devastating loss, just because you're on the other team and you're bragging. You got to have an etiquette when you go into another stadium. No, isn't that correct?
That's fine. Let's get back to the top. Let's get back to the topic.
Stadium I've ever seen, though.
People want Renegade gone. They want to have a new.
Those are people that aren't in the stadium. I saw someone else put that on Twitter,
and that's why I haven't been since 2013. So I can't really comment on it because it's been a long time since I've been there.
Last year against the Patriots, it was deafening. It was insane. I remember there was a young kid sitting next to me, and when the screen's going black, they're like, what's going on? I'm like, pay attention. You're never going to forget this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was deafening. It was crazy.
What do you think it is about Buffalo? I mean, the Bills Mafia is legit. Okay, they're a great fan base. I don't want to say anything bad about it. The Bills Mafia is as loyal as they come. Is it because of the proximity? Because Buffalo is not that far from Pittsburgh. This was a huge game for Pittsburgh, and I just couldn't stand to see all those blue jerseys in the crowd. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Here's the reason why. They sold these tickets. Steeler fans sold these tickets when they were 1-4. So these people bought these tickets in early October because they were available.
Is that your theory or is that fact?
This is Brian's theory. But what goes on in Ben's head?
I can put something behind that, though.
I didn't know if you talked to people and they said, "Oh man, I've had these tickets for a long time."
No, these girls in front of us got them in early October.
Okay, Dave.
I can back this up a little bit. This was one of the games I was originally going to, and then things changed because my father wanted to go to a game again. And then I wasn't going to go to it. And then I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sell these tickets because, like I said, this time of year, when you're talking about getting close to the holidays, people were busy. You plan out everything that you're doing basically from Thanksgiving to Christmas or Thanksgiving to New Year's if you're like my family, because there's so much going on, you just don't have the time. And that's the problem I ran into where I could not sell my Patriots tickets last year. I couldn't sell the Patriots tickets last year. And that enormous, super important game, I couldn't sell those. But with this year, if Jeff recalls, we talked about 4 of us going to a game, the 3 of us here and 1 Lance Williams. And we wanted to get Lance to come in for the West Coast and go to a game. Jeff was never going to do this anyway. My first thing is I said, hey,
it's not that I didn't want to. It's not that I wouldn't want to.
It's just you can't. I understand.
Yes.
My first suggestion was the Kansas City preseason game. There was a Pirate game in the afternoon. There was the preseason game in the evening. My brother and his wife did that as a date. It was fantastic for them. That I said, let's us do that. So what was Lance's answer to that? One, it's preseason, or that's too hot in Pittsburgh. So then my suggestion was, because the tickets were so cheap, that I said we could get 2 more tickets to the Bills game for not very much. Use my 2 tickets or whatever we got to do for the 4 of us to go to that game. I said it could be. I mean, it was going to cost us probably not even just using my tickets or whatever, less than $50 a person if we split the other 2 tickets 4 ways. That's how cheap those tickets were in the off season. But of course, Lance's answer was, I go to Pittsburgh in December. So I'm like, you wouldn't go in August, you wouldn't go in December. I didn't realize that October 15th was the only date was going to work for him. And the Steelers didn't play that day. So that's what was going on. But from that story, those tickets were cheap back then. And that's why I was going. I'm strategic with the games I choose to go to sometimes, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sell this game. I'm not going to be able to sell this game. I'd rather go to it rather than have to worry about it. So,
okay. A quick question for you guys. And Wes in the live chat brings this up. Just off the top of your head. If you were to replace Renegade with a song, and it's not a joke. So, Brian, I don't want to hear about Paul Anka or anything like that. Okay. If
Yeah,
you
we're Paul
Times
Anka
of
on
Your
that one.
Life is an excellent song. I mean,
but anyways, what I'm saying is that if you were to replace it with a song that is a hype up song that would be used in game, that would get everyone jacked up, I'm going to go with you first, Brian. What song are you picking? Wes says Enter Sandman by Metallica, which I think is a phenomenal choice. But what would you do, Brian?
well, I was originally thinking
Tom Jones.
Back on Black. Oh,
Back on Black? Wait a second. Back on
Back in
Black?
Black.
Back
That's
in
right,
Black.
Back in Black.
Is Back on Black a different song?
No, I just messed up. The shirt's getting in my head. But really, hey, Dennis is like, what the diss ball like? You pissed off Dennis now, Jeff.
Oh.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Rock You Like a Hurricane gets me fired up. Banana.
No, I'm not saying that's wrong, but don't you think that the buildup of Renegade is what makes it so great?
Yeah, I think
that's what I'm trying to think of. A song that has a great buildup.
Well, some people so far in the live chat, because like some people are saying Thunderstruck by AC/DC wouldn't be a bad one. I actually think if you're looking for a build-up song, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution is sometimes better in terms of AC/DC. I think if you're looking for that build-up, some people are saying Back in Black, but obviously that's what Bryan said. Wiz Khalifa, Black and Yellow, not a fan of that.
By the way, it's not Black and Yellow. It's Black and Gold. People correct me all the time on Black and Gold. It's Black and Gold.
I agree 100%. Some people said Hell's Bells, another AC/DC song. If you want to go out of the genre of classic rock, I think something from Rage Against the Machine would be awesome. Bulls on Parade.
That was my walk-up music.
That's true.
Nice.
I remember that. That would be great. I mean, something like that could be hard hitting too. Bulls on Parade would be a great one because it has that great drum beat at the beginning.
Well, that one starts hard and then it backs off.
It's true.
And then it comes back in hard.
Yeah. This is tough. Like if you had to replace it, you're replacing a song that's been used since what, 2001? Wasn't that the first year they used it?
I think that's
when Heinz Field opened up.
And once again, I don't think you should replace it. Let me give you one. Mental Health by Quiet Riot.
I'm not familiar.
Bam, 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 bam. So it goes like that. Mental health will rock your head. Bang your head. Down, down.
I'm still waiting for Dave. Dave, what do you think? You haven't even said anything yet.
No, I'm still, if you're wondering, I'm staring off trying to think of good songs that I think.
And you could even go further back than Styx, and you could go like to Zeppelin, I mean, they've got some songs that, for instance, if you were to cut out some of the intro when the levee breaks, talk about a build-up song. I mean, or Kashmir is a phenomenal song too.
I'm a Fool in the Rain fan, but that won't work for this.
I like Tangerine.
Fool in the Rain is a great song.
No, I'm not saying it isn't. And Paul Anka's got some killer tunes, but I just don't think it's
I first heard Paul Anka Time of Your Life when Lou Piniella retired back in 1984. Bob Costas on it was like the Saturday afternoon game. I can tell you where I was. NBC Game of the Week. They played a tribute to him with Time of Your Life by The Times of Your Life by Paul Anka. Go ahead. Put that on Apple Play or whatever. It's a great song.
Well, for me, as long as they don't play Hall & Oates, I'm fine. Because
you know what, Jeff?
That rat
I love you,
ruined their season. Right 2017 ended because of that man. It wasn't because Le'Veon Bell missed a walkthrough. It was because John Oates sang the national anthem. That's why they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
If anybody wants to go ahead and get me tickets for Hershey, Pennsylvania for Hall & Oates, or go with me for February 26th, I am going. But Jeff has held that over my head since he sang the national anthem at that game.
It was the reason that they lost.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Everybody gives John Oates problems. The guy's great.
No, not everyone, just me, really.
And by the way, Nap 1963, who we hung out with before the game, he has promised me, and I'm going to bring this up. He has promised me he sings with a band in Johnstown. Next time I come in, he's going to let me play Hurts So Good. He's going to let me guest sing.
So are you going to sing the John Cougar version, the John Mellencamp version, or the John Cougar Mellencamp version?
It's only John Cougar because that was on the American Full album.
They're slightly different. There's just a little bit.
There's no, I mean, that was one of the great number 2 songs of the 1980s. 5 Weeks was held off.
That's the song that you're going to pick to sing. I mean, you could. Do you have?
I sang it at my wedding.
I'm not saying you didn't sing it at your wedding. I'm just saying it's you could pick any song with this band, and that's what you're going with.
Yeah, that's that or Centerfold is my signature.
I feel like you might sound better with the Jay Giles band, personally.
The problem with Centerfold, though, and I will tell you this: there's so many na-nas at the end that you kind of, if you don't have your breath. But you got to understand, when I do karaoke or when I'm in front of a crowd, I get out in the crowd. I'm sitting on ladies' laps. I'm giving them the mic. I'll go.
But that's the thing.
So good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
Well, hold on, because I think we could help you here, Brian. Please don't wear that shirt. But when you do the na-na-nas, you give it to the crowd to catch your breath, and then you bring it back. Yeah, that's what you do. You got to play it up, man. You got to be a kingsman. Dave, are you providing anything to this debate at all? Well, you're basically just sitting there. You're sitting there staring at your Tim Tebow book, expecting for some holy inspiration. Just say the song.
No, the problem is some of the songs I can think of that have great build-up, I don't think build to enough. You know what I'm saying? Or it takes too much to get there, like Bon Jovi's "Blaze of Glory." I don't know that it's too much of a pump up of them. Or the one of my favorite pump up songs that starts slow, and you'll think of this. Maybe you'll have a certain movie that you'll think of in this. Would be one.
Brian is gonna fight you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not playing Keystone Wolf 814. First of all, 814, that's my area code, so you could probably my old area code, but he looks like he could kick my ass in a hurry.
I'm sorry, Dave, for interrupting you. Go ahead, continue.
How about Sister Christian?
There it is.
What's that? Hashtag what? What are you saying?
No, I found my next song. Sorry, but go ahead, Dave.
Oh, okay, I said Sister Christian.
Love that song, but that wouldn't work for this. But let me give you one from the great, and I'm going to bring it up here, from the great 1985 Matthew Modine movie, one of my favorites of all time. And Jeff, if you haven't seen this, you will love it. Dave, you'd love it too. Vision Quest.
What is that? Is that like that Mystery Alaska movie you want me to see?
No, it's a wrestling movie. No, it's really freaking good.
What kind of wrestling movie?
Like No Holds Barred?
No,
that was a great movie. No Holds Barred was a great movie.
He was a high school wrestler.
Whoa.
Wait, this is a real wrestling movie?
He was a high school wrestler.
That sounds boring.
No, dude, trust me. It's not. But Lunatic Fringe.
I like
was in that movie, and it's a training montage. He's doing a training montage. Lunatic Fringe is awesome.
Training montages, you automatically have to rank them with the Rocky movies. Does it hold up? Yes. Does it hold up?
It holds up, but it's not as good as the Rocky movies. Yeah. What's the best Rocky training montage? I'm going to say 4.
Easily 4. No doubt about it. Because you know what? In 3, you have the scene in the ocean, which we'll just call it the extra love scene, where they're frolicking in the ocean as Rocky finally beats Apollo Creed in the sprint in the sand. Dave, tell me you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for and those really short shorts.
2, shorts. Yes, that's awful. And 2, in my opinion, might be the 2 in the second one for me might be the most motivational, but it's just not the best. The scene, and we talked about this before, when Adrian wakes up and says, "I want you to do something for me." Win. And what does Mickey say? What are we waiting for? You know? What are we waiting for? Yeah, and then you just hear the bells ringing, and then they just start getting after it. Yes. But he's chasing chickens around and stuff. And Rocky 4. No easy way out. No easy way out. Hold on, Brian. No easy way out. You see the classic view of his cars leaving with what license plate? What does the license plate say? You can't look at the live chat. Don't cheat.
When Rocky win.
No, that's not what his license plate
says. Or just
says.
Rocky.
No, wrong. Dave,
Oh,
you know?
ITLN, STLN. Was it that?
No, it's wrong too.
Okay.
Dave, you know? License plate, classic scene, no easy way out kicks in. He's peeling out because Apollo just died. And it says Southpaw.
That's right. That's right. And it was good pull on Robert Tepper, Dobie Weissend. I didn't think anybody knew the name of Robert Tepper, but that's no easy way out.
Does he own the Carolina Panthers now?
Guys, I think we need to do something important. We need to, for people that are just joining in now, we need to explain that this is a brand new show that we're doing now. That this is the after show. This is not a Steelers discussion.
Well, we did start with the Steelers preview.
Stuff. If you're here for the Steelers preview, that already happened tonight. So this is the new thing that we're doing.
Let's Jimmy Fallon's out. That's fine.
Yeah.
Look, here's a Steeler question for those that are just tuning in. I'll toss one at you guys. Give me a Steeler that has played for the team for more than one season that you couldn't stand for whatever reason.
Oh,
played for more than one season, so that eliminates guys like Michael Vick. If you were, one of the people that didn't like that signing for whatever reason, give me one name of a player that you hated for whatever reason. Who's that, Bryan?
Mike Mitchell.
Really?
I hated Mike Mitchell. Thought he was a punk.
Okay. So did it have to do with the play on the field or was it off the field? Or
both? Both. A little bit of both. And I just didn't like him.
What about you, Dave?
I can always keep up with an excuse to like everybody. That's my problem. I mean, that I really just couldn't stand. Oh, I'm struggling. Jeff, you're gonna have to answer
first. You can't say Deontay Johnson, Dave, because he hasn't been there.
That's why Jeff put in the stipulation they had to be on the team for more than one season.
You know who was for me, and it started from his rookie year. I didn't like Plaxico Burress, his first go around in Pittsburgh. I didn't like him. I couldn't stand. I hated how the first catch he had, he spiked the football. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way he carried himself. I didn't like the way he left. I felt that he was a whiny baby all the time. And when you compared him with Hines Ward, you're talking about apples and oranges. Hines Ward is I'm just going to shut up and do my job. I'm going to block as hard as anyone. I'm going to break Keith Rivers' jaw. And then there was Plexico Burress, which I felt like he was always a look at me guy. Now, he did redeem himself a little bit when he came back to the team before he retired, but I was never a big Plexico Burress fan, period. Dave? Anyone, or are you just all love, man?
No, well, the problem is that the Steelers bring in. So
here's a good one. Here's a good Toby, Mike Adams. That's a name we haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you say you didn't like them because you were disappointed in them, that's one thing. I thought you meant like you just thought they were a jerk and you couldn't stand them.
It could be both. I mean,
okay.
here's one.
Because I feel like some of the biggest jerks,
not that
people that they, the biggest jerks that they had were people that were high quality. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't like them just because they stunk,
get off the screen, Bryan. Bryan, good Lord, stop it.
Yeah.
Did you answer the question?
I'm just saying, if you're talking about someone who I thought was a jerk, I always thought Joey Porter was a jerk. I didn't like him as a person, but I liked the way he played. So if you just talk about something that you didn't like as a player, then you have to go with Lima Swede. But did he even last more than a season?
Yeah,
because he was there such a big disappointment.
I think he was there for his full rookie contract, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So he was just, You know what? I'm surprised nobody has said Artie Burns.
Well, I mean,
Artie's a likable guy.
Lance Williams.
Lance has never taken a snap.
Oh, Mendenhall. That's another interesting one. Keystone Wolf says Tim Worley.
Oh, I used to call him.
See, now these are some good ones, but
he had the beadiest eyes, and I'd get so mad because he would fumble, and they'd show him on the sideline, just and I'd just yell at him. Oh, I hated Tim Worley, but
here's one that's interesting. Ryan O'Toole says Mike Wallace. I never liked that Mike Tomlin called him a one-trick pony, and I didn't like it even more that he lived up to that. He was a one-trick pony. Wes, you're not surprising anyone when you say Cordell Stewart. If you lived anywhere near the Pittsburgh area, you know That's so many people. What do you get off of it? Lance
I didn't
Williams?
do that. I had
I'm not touching a thing.
I had
Okay.
this.
Lance Williams has cost us some games. He has. His predictions have killed the Steelers on more than one occasion. Dree Archer gets brought up.
See, because the thing is, then there's someone like Chris Rainey, but he only lasted what, one season?
Chris Rainey. Boy, that's a name you haven't heard in a while.
And whose brother was he?
What?
He hate me.
Yeah.
That was He
really?
Hate Me's brother.
Is he somehow related to General Custard? And
No, that's Adam Vinatieri. It was good. I like that. No, He Hate Rod Smart. He hate.
No, he's making fun of me. That's me.
Was Chris Rainey's half? No, I did the Vinatieri.
Yeah, that was him.
Thing.
That was on the Kick Heard Around the World. He told that story. I don't know if that was on the air or not. I don't know. Oh,
I did. You made fun of me for that.
Yeah, I make fun of you for a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's true. How can you hate Deuce Staley?
Was he there for how many years was he there?
He was there for 2.
Was he? Well, he was hurt a lot. And he was I don't know. A lot of people didn't like him because he took snaps from the bus. And we all know that Jerome Bettis is beloved. So, all right. Well, people complain. Tommy Maddox. I actually didn't mind the Tommy Gunn era. I thought it was exciting.
I loved him.
Yeah.
Plus, I met him in an airport, and he made a beeline to talk to me. He's great.
Yeah. He beelined it to talk to you or away from you?
He beelined to talk to me.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I swear.
You haven't heard this story, Jeff? I've heard this story.
You saw him in an airport. He sees you and goes, "Bryan, buddy, what's up?" And he goes over to talk to you.
Yeah, it was right after
So he
the
knows,
2002 season.
He knows you. You know Tommy Maddox.
No, he didn't know me. He did not know
Okay.
me, but he came over to shake my hand.
Were you wearing
Because
Steelers?
my buddies. What's that?
Were you wearing Steelers gear or something? Or did you...
No, I was actually in a business suit. I was in a suit and with 2 other guys. That's when I was in Enterprise. When I was working at Enterprise, we were going to a national meeting, and we were going through security, and security was tight because it was right after. It was not too far after September 11th. It was in early 2003, and Tommy just had the big season of 2002. His only big season. And what happened is he was back for, I guess, the May mini camp or whatever, and for meetings, and he was just wearing like golf shorts and a shirt. And my buddy was like, "Hey, there's Tommy Maddox over there." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "Hey, let's yell. Let's see if he'll come over." And I'm like, "Let's yell at him." I'm like, "No, we won't." And so we're not going to bother him. So we're just going through. I go, "Hey, Tommy, we love you in Pittsburgh." And we were going through security, and I started walking. Then he comes over to meet us, to shake our hands and ask where we were from, and thank us for saying that.
Cool. That's awesome.
So it was really cool. We didn't ask him for anything. We just wanted to say hello.
That's awesome. Dave, do you have any stories like that at all your trips up to Pittsburgh at Heinz Field or anything?
Oh, not as cool as Bryan's. I mean,
we did a story contest for Behind the Steel Curtain one year, and a reader wrote a story, and it was all just in the comment section. It was the craziest story ever. He went to Heinz Field for a draft party, and he was just standing in the concourse, and all of a sudden the door opened up behind him, and who walked out other than Dan Rooney? And he saw him and said, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Rooney." And Dan Rooney stood there and talked to him for like 5 minutes, shook his hand, thanked him for coming. And then he went on his way. I was like, what an unbelievable experience that you just walked right into, literally. So that's pretty crazy.
I was at a urinal next to James Harrison. Scariest thing ever.
Where?
At the Butler Mall. I was at a signing, and
Okay.
I was working the signing because a buddy brought him in, and I was on my way to the bathroom. He's like, "Yeah, I need to go. Where's it at?" I said, "Yeah, follow me." And I went, and so I'm there, and he's talking to me, and I'm really intimidated because James Harrison's next to me.
Did you get stage fright? Was it tough to go?
No. I mean, like, a part of me was like, should I look? Will James Harrison beat me up?
It's like on Ace Ventura when he's trying to find all the
only thing that would make that story better is if I remember one time I had a student that was telling a story that he had to use the restroom. It was like in a NASCAR race, and they had the urinals on the wall, but they only had the wall halfway up, and they had urinals on both sides. So you were standing at the urinal face to face with the person across from you.
Oh, whoa.
Could you imagine that being James Harrison?
So he was talking to you. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah. He told us that I was not admiring. No, but a funny thing about that. So he was talking about all kinds of stuff. He was really cool, and this was right after the Super Bowl year, in 05. So this was in 06, and they were starting off like 2-5. And it's funny because my dad and I are standing there. It's like, well, if we lose tomorrow, we'll see what excuse the quarterback has. See what hurts tomorrow. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, well, he kind of does that. He's kind of a little prima donna. And I was laughing. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe he said that. So we're talking. I said, well, hey, I'm getting ready to ask my girlfriend to marry me. I have the ring, and I'm doing it in another month. He's like, dude, don't do that. I'm like, why James Harrison? He's like, I sent James Harrison to him. Like, why James Harrison? And he's like, dude, you don't get married. Don't do that. And so I went home and told my wife, and she's like, I don't like him anymore. I mean, my future wife. I did get married, and
so was this take 2 or take 1, marriage wise?
Oh, the starter marriage was already gone. Yeah,
okay.
This is the one that you know and I think like. So no, this is the good one. This is the keeper.
Very good. There you go. All right, so this has been a great show. This is what I wanted it to be. This is honestly what I wanted it to be, and I'm actually thinking of. I guess I can say it now. Here is that eventually I want to expand our platform into some more shows like this that are a little bit more fun, especially in the off season when there's not as much stuff to talk about. So you can expect the after party maybe every time we do the preview. Maybe it'll be every other week. We're not so sure, but ultimately, this is what we wanted. This is what I wanted. And I think when I texted Dave and Bryan today, they were on board. So Dave didn't say too much tonight. Bryan stole the show as he always does. That's okay.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Honestly, here's the thing. I'm still racking my brain, and I'm going to tell you this.
Over the song.
Out of all the songs, when you try to compare them to Renegade, you can't. You just have to picture what Renegade is a 10. We did not say a single song that was more than a 4.5. Nothing comes close.
Oh, bang your head's good.
Nope. Nothing. For that stadium, nothing comes close.
Well, you're saying that it's like playing the result when you're talking about sports. Like they won the games, so they're better. You're playing the result. So you know what Renegade's like. You have no idea what a montage on the screen of Ryan Clark decapitating Wes Welker would look like to Rage Against the Machine. Or to any other song that we mentioned.
Paul Anka,
yeah. Or Hall & Oates. I just threw up in my
Frankie
mouth.
Valley.
You know, Jeff, you're out of touch and I'm out of time.
I will give their Christmas music some love, though. Speaking of which, before we go off the air, the next time we're on the air, the Christmas season will have come and gone. My question for you all is, what is your top 3 Christmas-themed movies? This eliminates Die Hard, because Die Hard, although a Christmas movie is based around Christmas time, is not a Christmas movie. Does that make sense?
Weapon,
no, the same thing. Falls in the same category. Top 3 Christmas
trees.
What?
They're Christmas
oh my
trees
gosh, Bryan, you understand what I'm saying? Just answer the question. Dave, I want to start with you.
I understand. I'm just
okay. I'm going. Can I give them in no particular order?
Sure, no particular order.
Because I don't want to say it would be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, because I'm going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby danced with Danny F and K.
That's right. Hallelujah.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Hallelujah. Where's the Tylenol?
Yeah. So we have that one. We have the movie that I could watch over and over again, because back in the day, either my daughter was so young, I think it might have even been before she was born, that on New Year's Day they played this movie over and over again, and no joke, I didn't turn it off for 6 straight times through, and that would be Elf.
Oh, Elf. Okay.
Love Elf. And then I have to go with the classic of It's a Wonderful Life. But my rising up the chart, I have two newcomers rising up the charts, getting close to there, and that would be 4 Christmases and Daddy's Home 2.
Okay, 4 Christmases I've seen Daddy's Home 2. I haven't. Ty.
Oh, dude, you have to see Daddy's Home too.
Ty gives us $5 in the tip jar. He says, Happy Festivus. That comes up on the 23rd of December. I already have my poll picked out. It's not going to be
And we're always
decorated.
doing the airing of grievances.
We are going to air our.
I thought that was the point of this show tonight.
The Festivus show. How funny would that be? You guys busy on the 23rd? I've got a bone to pick with you.
Well, that could be the hangover.
I've got a lot of problems with you, George.
In lieu of the hangover, we can do that.
Okay, so you said so you got some rising. Bryan, your turn. Go ahead and go. Top 3.
Well, my wife introduced me to White Christmas.
Well, technically not a Christmas movie, but that's okay.
White Christmas is not a.
It's just happened. It's just based around Christmas time. There's nothing about Christmas other than they wanted to snow on Christmas Day.
The name Christmas is in.
It doesn't matter,
title.
Dave. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie, Dave? It's about military guys that want to get their general or whatever it is, have a party for him, and it just happens to snow. Did you know that the song "White Christmas" wasn't written for White Christmas? It was written for a movie called Holiday Inn. It was actually like a few years before that with Bing Crosby in it, and they redid the song for that movie. Bet you didn't know that, Bryan. Bam.
Actually, I did. Bam.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, because I just said you didn't. So there you go.
Who's like the 8-time trivia champion at the Green Turtle?
I don't know because I'm never invited. I don't get invited.
I've invited you never come to anything like that.
I must it got lost in the mail. It's okay. Bryan, go ahead. Continue with your list.
Okay, so you're gonna blast me for this one. Then Love Actually is my
what
second
is that?
favorite.
Oh, that's a
Love
great movie.
Actually?
Love
that's
Actually,
a great movie.
What is that?
2003. It is.
It's got Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
It's got Hugh Grant. I'm trying to remember. Colin Firth, who's good in everything.
Is Liam Neeson trying to track someone down and kill them?
Actually, no.
Well, then
but he ends up with who's the supermodel he ends up with at the end with the cameo? Who was that? Is it Elle McPherson?
Yeah.
No, or Claudia Schiffer.
Okay,
Claudia Schiffer. There's a lot of supermodels in this movie. It's British, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
it's British.
Don't
That's
forget
even worse.
the great Alan Rickman.
It's a good movie.
Alan Rickman's
in that. With
you know who Alan Rickman is? Hans Gruber.
Well, I know that. You've lost me already. What's your third movie?
Well, and It's a Wonderful Life is my all-time favorite.
I'm in the that's a tradition for me. My wife doesn't like that movie, but she doesn't
Christmas
like
Eve night when the kids go to bed.
She doesn't like Jimmy Stewart. She doesn't like Jimmy Stewart.
You know what? You have the nicest wife ever, and that's the only thing I think I'd ever disagree with her on.
Thank you, Mr. T. Steeler fan. Emma Thompson. That's the other person that's in Love Actually.
Oh yeah, there's a lot in it. Mr. Bean even shows up.
Jamie says I'm clueless on
Keira Knightley's in it.
Get out of town. Get out of town. I love Christmas movies. I know Christmas movies. Get out of town with that stuff. My wife just doesn't like Jimmy Stewart's voice, and it's probably because probably contrarian. That is me.
Contrarian.
I will say this, that I say that it's my fault my wife doesn't like It's a Wonderful Life because I love Dana Carvey's HBO special from back in like 1999, 2000. And he does his Jimmy Stewart impersonation. Yeah, I think she's flooded, all that. And because I say that all the time and I use that voice all the time. And, I just, because if you've seen it, you understand he's making fun of Hugh Grant and what happened to Hugh Grant. And he imagines what would happen if it was like Jimmy Stewart back in the 40s, and the police officer comes to the car, and I'm not going to get into details.
What's
Dana
funny
Carvey's
also,
Jimmy Stewart starts from where they did the lost ending of It's a Wonderful Life.
You just stole my thunder.
Well, I've been waiting to say that.
The lost ending of
you haven't seen that from Saturday Night Live? It's John Lovitz, his old man.
Yeah. I thought you meant there was an actual lost ending.
Phil Hartman and Uncle Billy. Dana Carvey is Jimmy Stewart. It's
he's doing the elbow drop.
He's
up and doing the elbow drop.
Yeah. Guys, I remember where I put the money.
All right.
That was the late Dana.
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman.
Hartman.
Yeah.
Dan Hartman saying "I Can Dream About You," and he's from Harrisburg, actually.
Old Uncle Dan. That's
Okay,
my
so
name.
what you said, Jeff? Your movies?
Mine,
Yeah.
mine are simple. It's very similar to yours. I went with National Lampoons because if you've driven by my house, I do decorate a lot. I also say Elf because Will Ferrell was one of my all-time favorites. But one of my movies I grew up watching, and I was never allowed to watch it on Christmas Eve because my dad got so sick of me watching it, is A Christmas Story. I think A Christmas Story it's so good, and in so many different ways. You just have to enjoy the little things about that movie. And it's more than just the leg lamp and the fragile. There's so many tiny little intricacies in that movie that I just cling to. It's great. I love it.
How do you feel about the kid that stuck his tongue on the pole?
What about him?
What was his name?
Schwartz? Oh, he became a porn star, didn't he?
Yeah, he was in porn.
Yeah, I just heard
Scotty
that. I mean,
Schwartz I think is his name.
Yeah, no. Flick is the one that puts his tongue on the pole.
But I think his real name Scotty Schwartz in real life.
I don't know what his real name was. I don't know what his real name was. So, but yeah. So, okay. This is what this show is supposed to be. And it lived up to the hype, in my opinion. And honestly, we had up to 75 people, and there's still 69 to 70 people in the live chat. So some people enjoyed the conversation. So next time you see us, we'll be getting ready for New Year. Guys, I thank you for your time. Everyone in the live chat, thank you. I wish everyone here happy holidays, whatever holiday you happen to believe in and enjoy and celebrate. If it's Festivus, if it's Kwanzaa, if it's Hanukkah, if it's Christmas, happy holidays. Enjoy it. Stay safe. Root for the Steelers like it's your last dying day this Sunday when the Steelers go to the Jets. And we will see you all tomorrow night. I guess Lance will be on for Yeah, I Said It. And then is it Bryan's turn for the burning question, I believe?
I
did it last week.
No,
Lance after me?
It would be.
Oh gosh. My sincere apologies to our listeners that you have to deal with Lance twice.
Especially coming off of a loss.
Exactly. Well, it's not going to happen. So, okay.
No, because it's before the next game.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. Very good point. Have a happy holidays. We'll see everyone next week for another episode of the Steelers preview and maybe another after party. See ya.